TGIF, everybody. Thanks for kickstarting your weekend with us right here on Undisputed. I'm Jen Hale. Good morning. Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. How are we, guys?
I am doing great.
I'm not doing so great. I'm not real pleased with the Suns I picked to win it all the way they played last night. They're turning Westbrook into Steph Brook.
No.
I've never seen it like it.
Hey, Russ, I trust.
Yeah. Do you? Well, at least they're down 2-1. That's all I
told you Kawhi was going to be a game-time decision. I said it tongue-in-cheek, but...
You were correct.
I was just like, okay. But it was a very similar play to when he got injured on, Skip.
It was. Another Joe Ingles play.
Shannon Notre Damus.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to get to that series in just a second. But I want to start with one this morning where, talk about influential calls, ejections, and non-ejections. 76ers and Nets, it sure did get chippy last night. First, Joel Embiid not ejected for kicking up on Nick Claxton. He was given a flagrant one due to, quote, the point of contact to the leg. I'll let you interpret. And it didn't rise to the level of excessive, according to the officials. Now, later in the third, James Harden given a flagrant 2 foul call, ejected out of there for what he said was, quote, an unacceptable call and given no good explanation for. 76ers go on to win 102-97. Shannon, did Embiid deserve a flagrant 1 and Harden that flagrant 2?
I thought the foul should have been flipped. I thought James Harden deserved the flagrant 1, Skip, because he's making a basketball play. Because what he's trying to do is get his guy's hands off him. You know, you try to hand check the guy. He tries to knock his hand off, and guess what? His hand wasn't there, and his hand goes into his midsection. Joel Embiid, Skip, that's not a basketball play. You're laying on the floor, you kick up. That's not a basketball play. It's unnecessary, and it's excessive. And Joel Embiid said, Skip, you can see the game plan. Got to hit him. Try to make him frustrated so he can get ejected. So I'm mature, just put myself in a position where I'm going to be ejected. So I just went about my business, and we got the win. You kicked the guy. So how are you going about your business? Theoretically, they did what they set out to do. If what you're saying is true, they were trying to hit you, get you frustrated, get you out of your game to get ejected. It worked because you kicked the man. Is that what you normally do in a game? Is kick someone? That's not a basketball play. So I thought the foul should have been flipped. I thought James Harden deserved James Harden deserved to throw a flagrant 2. Skip, that's not a flagrant 2.
No.
I thought the foul should have been flipped. I thought Joel Embiid deserved the flagrant 2. I thought James Harden deserved the flagrant 1. It's going to be interesting to see, considering how they're calling it now, and what if Joe Dumars intervened and says, okay, now you got to be gone for a game. So it's going to be interesting to see how the NBA looks at this, because I do think Joel Embiid play was unnecessary.
Wait, gone for a game after you weren't even ejected during that game?
Good.
Interesting. That would be the ultimate flip. Okay, I'm going to start with James Harden. This is just me. I've been watching this game, covering this game for a long, maybe too long of a time. That wasn't even a foul to me. And it felt like a makeup call because it felt like the crew was on thin ice, just on the edge of everybody's seats, on the edge of their mind seats, thinking, oh my God, should we have? Right. Oh, well, let's toss him, and then we'll make it all clean, right? We'll make up this to the Brooklyn Nets, and everything will be okay.
So you think they're saying they should have thrown Joel out?
Okay, no, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm starting with the Harden. It escalated to the point where, for me, in my mind's eye, having seen James do that 10,000 times in his life, it's part and parcel of his bag. It's what he does. Right. He uses his offhand to create a little space, especially when a Royce O'Neal, as were all the Brooklyn Nets, they are getting up into your space, into you physically, bumping you, grinding you, and James is just saying, I'm using my offhand to just try to create a little bit of space so I can get free of all of his physicality. Right. It's just basketball. It's called NBA playoff basketball. Obviously, it sounds like grumpy old man talk, but back in the 80s or even the 90s, that's like, it's not even a thought of, it's not even a foul thought. Right. It's a play on. It just happens. It's it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
Right.
You just kind of fight back by saying, okay, I'm gonna hit you a little bit. His hand, I'm talking about James, his hand is cupped. It's not like he balls his fist and trying to hit him in the privates.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to get his hands off him.
Right, and I don't think he was aiming at his privates. Maybe it brushed against the midsection. I can't, I'm sorry,
Right.
I can't see that. I lost my mind on that one. Now back to the first one that triggered all of the above. For me, I liked the way they called it because I believe you are discounting the fact that Claxton had just dunked on him, had been all over him from the start. This is only 3 minutes into the game.
Right.
It was clear they were going to play extremely physically with Joel because it's about the only hope that you have.
Is there any other way to play?
No.
He's two of Charles Claxton.
Okay. And
Nick Claxton, excuse me.
Nick Claxton. And Claxton manages to dunk on him. Then he steps over him, which is the ultimate disrespectful basketball play. Maybe not a football play, but it's a basketball disrespect. You cannot disrespect a man any more than when he is down, you straddle him. You step.
AI.
Okay, it's the AR and Ty Lue. But this is even worse. He is glowering down at him, standing over him. You are asking for it. Okay, so this is just me. If Joel Embiid had actually wanted, with this man standing over him, straddling him, if Joel had wanted to kick him right in the privates, he would have kicked him right in the privates. That was a kick of just get up off me. That was a kick of get out of my space.
But it was what? What'd you say it was?
It was a kick.
Okay.
Okay. But the point of contact to me was upper back leg, maybe up into the buttocks region. And it's the opposite side of the body from privates, okay? So if it's not aimed at the privates because if he's right there, you know what I'm talking about straddling, and you say, okay, I'm gonna get even with you. If you want to kick him in the privates, you're going to hit his privates because he is totally exposed to said kick. But instead, Joel is just saying, just get out of here, get away, because Joel is thinking, I'm about to win the MVP, and you, Nick Claxton, cannot get away with doing that to me. It's just, it's manhood versus manhood out on the basketball court. That's what it is. So I'm going to take into account, I'm going to put into context the fact that Nick Claxton is asking for it, and that Joel is retaliating during the act, as opposed to Draymond, who, remember, yes, Sabonis started it with, you could call it a dirty play or a crafty play, whatever you want to call it. He grabbed his ankle so that Draymond couldn't beat him up the court.
Correct.
And he hung on for a second, I don't know, and then he let go.
Right.
And now, or Draymond's actually pulling free of him, but Draymond has pulled completely free, so the act is over. And Draymond then sort of goes back with a stomp. And again, I told you the day after the stomp happened, in and of itself, just right there in and of itself, I don't think it's a big deal. It's not big enough to me to be ejectionable. Okay?
I still think it does, Skip, because not only was it unnecessary, it was excessive because he stomped him.
Okay.
I can see, Skip, if, you tried to pull your leg off and you were like, you step on him as you're going forward.
But I gave Draymond a slight break there because Sabonis started it, and he finished it. He finished it. But in the context, if I'm refereeing, if I'm in Secaucus, New Jersey, and I'm looking at the big picture, I'm saying, okay, Sabonis started it, he finished it. Let's move on with flagrants. You get a technical, you get a flagrant one. But I'm not going to toss you out of the game. But Draymond, as they're reviewing the play, loses his mind as he always does. And it's antics, and then we can go into why was he suspended? Well, as Joe Dumars said, well, it's body of work. It's, what was his exact quote about Joe Dumars? What did he call it? Hold on, let me get this quote here. It was excessive, over-the-top actions, conduct detrimental, and repeat offender. So all those things are operating in the minds of the people trying to review this play as it's unfolding live. And they finally decide, okay, he's gone. Because it's Draymond, and nobody has a worse track record in that context than Draymond does.
Do you think that's what saved Embiid, because he doesn't have that track record?
He doesn't have nearly. In fact, I checked out on the career negative stats on these guys. Draymond has 169 technical fouls in his career to 58 for Embiid. Joel's not no choir boy, you know, like he's got his share too. Okay, but if we look at ejections, Draymond's been ejected 17 times to Joel's 1 time. Well, that sort of sums it up right there. So then we got flagrant fouls. It's not even close, but it's 19. And then suspensions. Draymond's been suspended 4 times to Joel's 1 time. Joel did get suspended once for 2 games for fighting. So again, Joel is not holier than thou when it comes to this, but he's no Draymond.
Right.
So I do believe that in the context, they're going to give Joel a slightly better break than they are to Draymond.
Okay.
That's just me. But in the biggest picture, I didn't like the quote that you read from Joel, because he's saying, I'm too mature to get. No, you're not, because I don't like that he kicked.
Right.
But I'm going to give him a break of, I'm not going to toss him out of the game for it, because Claxton is asking for some kind of retaliation.
And then McClaxton already knows he has a text, and then he dunks on him again, and then he glares at him.
Okay. Again, do I care that much? If I put it in the vacuum, the taunting glare, I don't know. I can't get real worked up about it, but the game was teetering on out of control.
They wanted to get it under control.
Yes, and they just wanted to regain control, the referees, and they're like, uh-oh, is this going to lead to another fracas, an incident, or is this going to lead to some kind of fisticuffs? And so they just say, okay, Nick Claxton, you are gone with the second technical. So I understand it, but if we put these plays in vacuums, I see them differently than I do in context, especially Draymond versus Sabonis.
Right.
Okay, so again, I like the way they refereed the first incident, because, it's a technical foul and a flagrant 1, but it's not a flagrant 2. It's not an ejection. And Joel stayed in the game, and it did give Philly a better chance.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I didn't love the way Joel reacted the rest of the game, because he was incredibly frustrated all night. And his numbers are all career low type numbers.
Oh, Tyrese Maxey saved him.
He saved him.
Besides Tyrese Maxey, we went. I mean, James Harden leaving,
Yeah.
and Joel Embiid, as you mentioned, not having the type of game that we're expecting Joel Embiid to have, especially once Nick Claxton leaves the ball game. Skip, they guarded with Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith, guys that's giving up 7-8 inches and probably 100 pounds.
They went all small.
Yeah.
They just gave up. Well, they'd lost Claxton, obviously.
Right.
And they just attacked Joel just the way the Clippers are attacking Kevin Durant, because when Durant gets the ball, he's got 2 or 3 all over him, and he's being overwhelmed. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But Joel was a little overwhelmed.